Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today for our continuation of our Home Express webinar series. Today, we are presenting non-QM review of expanded credit. So we're very happy to have you here. As always, I will go ahead and read our disclaimer. The content of this presentation is proprietary and confidential information of Home Express Mortgage Corp. It is not intended to be distributed to third parties not participating in this webinar without the written consent of Home Express Mortgage Corp. So thank you for your support and understanding in that. Just real briefly, this is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about non-QM and our recent expanded credit guidelines. But before we do that, let's welcome our panel. We have David Greider here, and we have a couple different special guests representing the East and the West today. So David Greider, I will turn it over to you to do a brief intro.
All right, thank you, Andrea. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for taking your time out to join this webinar. We started this series back in 2021, and we're going to continue a webinar series once a month on different topics of the market, non-QM, just to keep everybody informed about the market today. As you notice, I'm the SVP of Wholesale Lending. And I've been here with Home Express since day one. You know, we started here in October of 2015 and been doing non-QM for 7 years now. Man, it seems like a while, but we're one of the first to come out. There's a few others there and help pave the way as you see this. And we're one of the top 3 non-QM lenders by volume in wholesale space. You know, nearly $2 billion last year, and we're having a really solid year this year because of the rate and term refinance is over, and now it's more of a need-based product. And then this is where non-QM fills that. Those type of borrowers that were probably shut out from the traditional financing, those low rates, come to the non-QM space. With that, going to the webinar, I'm going to introduce our sales leaders for the East and West. And so I'll have Dave Margulies in charge of the sales of the East say a few words.
Hi, everybody. It's certainly great to have the opportunity to present with you. As I said, I'm Dave Margulies. I run the eastern part of the country, so I'm responsible. We've got a great operations team in what we call the best in the business in Tampa. Although Greg might say it's California, but we all work together. But we're truly excited to have the opportunity to present to you. I think what you're going to learn today are some great products, and it's going to allow you to go out to your customers and to really partner with them. So we're truly excited to be a part of this and a part of your day. And hopefully what you're going to learn today is going to take you through 2022 and really help you to build your business. Now, my associate and esteemed colleague, Greg.
Thanks, David. Good morning and afternoon, everyone. We appreciate everybody taking the time to join us. As both Davids mentioned, this is a kind of a continuing series, and I think it's invaluable in regards to the information that we're imparting on you. It's a changing market, one that you need some diversity from a product mix. We've been in the non-QM space, as David mentioned, for 7 years, and really do a good job of it. We have an excellent closing ratio north of 65%. On a month-over-month basis, and we're really trying to instill in you as far as the diversity from a product standpoint. As interest rates continue to go up, you need to have some different products to offer your clients, and that's what we're trying to share with you here. We really encourage you to ask questions because no one loan is ever the same, right? It's all going to be a diverse setup as far as qualifications go, and we're trying to help you close more loans by showing different ways in which to structure them. So without taking up any more time, Mr. Greider, back to you.
Oh, thanks, you guys. Well, let's just head on to it. I know time's valuable. And I first started out I had a series on non-QM made easy. And I'm going to take off my camera now so we can probably see the screen a little bit better. I was on this slide talking about non-QM today, and I did this slide on what it was like in 2015 and 16. And the guidelines have really changed, right? The volume wasn't there in the non-QM space yet because it's the intro. And Dodd-Frank came out with some of the rules of ATR and those things. And so the underwriting goes, how are we going to underwrite? We got to make sure to pay us. We need a good track record of this. So for example, when I first started in non-QM in 15, we didn't have a 12-month bank statement program. It was 24 months with the borrower prepared P&L. And as you kind of evolve into what non-QM is today, it's by some of those leaders in non-QM that came out in 14, 15, 16 to get some of these programs allowed for you guys to make it easier for you to qualify these borrowers. And so non-QM today, we have fewer conditions, right? 12-month bank statements, all you need. That is it on the business side. The guideline exceptions are now, we can do those on compensating factors. Our broker partners have multiple lender choices. That's good. That forces competition on products, rates, those type of things. And then lender specific guidelines. At Home Express, we're a true lender. We underwrite to our own guidelines, fund with our own money. When you do that, you can make guideline exceptions. You can actually change your guidelines that make sense over time versus having to go to an aggregator's guidelines, right? So we are a true lender. So I just want to set up theirs as we go into some of these expanded guidelines that we have for you today. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide here. We're going to talk about bank statements. Like I mentioned before, bank statement programs, we're just trying to ascertain the cash flow of that business and then apply expense factor to it that makes sense. We understand that business owners have such thing as retained earnings, and they have great accountants that try to minimize their tax liability. So 12 months is most typical, but we have other programs too. And with Home Express, we have the XConnect portal, that's income desk. So we underwrite that income up front for you. There's many times that the technology wasn't there. When I first started, we were sending out spreadsheets, right, for the LO and the AE to kind of input that stuff in. So that's another expansion for you, is the technology coming into play that we have through our XConnect portal to give you that. The other thing that came out is expense factor based on industry. Now, there's a lot of lenders out there that apply a standard 50%. Now, does a 50% expense factor really make sense for an IT consultant that sits at home and works there? He's 1099? Probably not. It's probably closer to 15. So we just automatically apply on that scenario 15. And likewise, when you say, hey, expense factor 90, well, they could own a manufacturing company with a couple locations throughout the United States, or their business bank statements have 10 million a month going through it. Okay. And then do they really make 5 million a month? They apply to 50, probably 90, and they'll still qualify. With that, we still allow, because it's really hard to pinpoint the exact expense factor. It is just generally good common sense approaches, but we do allow you to have get a taxpayer letter to lower the expense factor. And then we have a 12-month cash flow program. Well, you got 12-month bank statement. What's the difference there, right? What this is when you're doing a self-employed borrower, the general requirement is got to have at least 2 years self-employment. This program allows for a self-employed borrower that has less than 2 years, but greater than 1 year self-employed. And I'll give you a couple examples. With COVID, there's been some work from home, or you can work remotely. And so some of these individuals have been W-2'd and now are 1099 for the last 18 months. That's fine. We can use that 1099. Or you have a doctor at Kaiser doing his residency. He's got 4 years W-2 there, starts his own practice, and has been doing it for 16 months, right? It's professional in nature, where you can actually see the cash flows business going to have a lot of expenses going out for equipment, leases, and the startup, but we can see that then they bring over their customer base, and you see the last 8 months is great. These borrowers are good. They have great FICOs, a lot of money saved up, and we can make loans to those. So I'm hoping when you kind of look at this, wow, I've seen that scenario, and you can call one of our highly trained account executives to structure that deal for you. Let's go to the next slide. Some other income doc options, right? 1 year tax return. Now, the reason I put it up here, so is even though there, ideally it's 2 years back there for an income, but what happened during 2020 of COVID? A lot of these self-employed borrowers had a reduction in their revenue. It was a tough year, right? Especially some were shut down 3 to 6 months, they had to go back out there. They had to refigure out how to do business. And these guys are smart, man. These self-employed borrowers, they figure out a way to manage their business, to get that back going and make revenue. 2021 happened, and we just came over, tax date of April 15th. These 1 year tax returns, that's all we need, and we can qualify them off of that. Don't have to go back to 2020. This is going to expand your ability to close more loans and qualify more borrowers. Now we have asset programs, right? I call Asset Express asset in full. This is not a DTI. We don't ask for employment or income. If they have enough assets to cover our loan balance plus 25%, so it's 125 of loan balance after funds to close, it's approved. That's just it. So ATR can be done by two ways under Dodd-Frank. One is by DTI, the other one is by assets. And so these are some of the rules that we've put in play based on our experience over 7 years that perform very well. Also, you can change assets into income, right? So we take the assets that they have, stocks, bonds, right, cash on hand, and we can in their bank account, and we can divide that by 60 months. And this is going to take your DTI that you're staring at a loan at 60, and all of a sudden, boom, it's down at 40 now, and you can move forward with that loan. We also use lease agreements in lieu of Schedule E, and we have some P&L only programs for those borrowers might have. Hey, you know, I have 5 different bank accounts, and they put in all this. It's really hard to ascertain what their cash flow is. We can always have a P&L program to help you close more loans. We'll go on to the next slide. Talk about non-owner occupied, right? And business purpose loans. I was talking to our VP of credit a couple months ago. We're kind of do a study of purchases done in the state of California. And we came out with the conclusion, he did all the studies, 46% of the purchases done in California were investment. That is a big number that you can now go after. And I would say, you know, California need to be licensed, but you can do loans, even though your NMLS might be California only. State of Hawaii is not required. Texas, Florida, state of Washington, and we can give you a list of these states that we're licensed as business purpose, where you don't have to be, and you can actually grow your business that way. So I recommend at the end of this, we'll give you some contacts to reach out to us, and we'll show you those states, right? And again, our business purpose is a debt service coverage ratio loan. That just takes the gross rents divided by the PITIA, and if it's 1 or better, you can go to 80% LTV on a purchase. You know, all we look at is the credit profile of the borrower. We look at what's on the credit and their primary residence and the subject property if it's a refinance. You don't have to go track down all these canceled checks for their private mortgage, right? So this is a great tool with streamlined guidelines to get your loan closed fast. We can go all the way down to 0.75 DSCR. Short-term rentals are fine. That's your Airbnb, Vrbo. A lot of people have done that from COVID, and I always joke around, but I just see these people going, am I going to go to a hotel with all these people? Or they might be a little shy. I'm going to go rent, do a rental house with Airbnb. They bring their 5 gallons of bleach and wipe down the whole house and feel more comfortable. That is true. So that's a good revenue source too for some investors. They understand the short-term rental in certain areas is a lot more lucrative than the long-term rents, and we're okay with that. Foreign nationals are okay on this program, and we also have unlimited properties owned guidelines. So they could own 100, 200 properties, and we can finance up to 10 loans with one borrower at one time. So this is going to open up your market right here on the investment properties. Let's go to the next slide. LTVs to 90. When I first started in non-QM at 15, it was like 85, 80, anything went over 80, but over time, right, and you have a good track record of portfolio of loans that pay you, and they're good quality. Now 90% is doable on a purchase up to $1.5 million, okay? We also have programs for expanded life events. So what are life events, right? That's your bankruptcy, foreclosure. You know, it's like anybody in life, I'm a little older, I got grandkids, right? Everybody has issues in their life, one time or another. It's medical, you know, loss of a job or job gaps, or divorce happens, right? And so they have a mortgage later. Somehow they couldn't hold up that property back, 4 years ago. Just stuff that happens in normal life. We're able to understand that and able to navigate through that. So we have programs within the last 12 months with a 1x90 out of bankruptcy, those type of things. Now, I'm not saying it's a good loan, so we still do it, but we're a common sense approach. If we understand that and they're back on their feet, why should they be out of the housing market? They should be in the housing market, right? Let's get these people into the homes that their families need, or the cash out they need to get their lives going, right? 100% gift funds is allowed here. Financing points and broker origination. Now, this is a purchase market, right? So when we looked at this guideline, what if I could take your 80% LTV, the broker origination is that, say, borrower paid it too. What if I put that on top? So my real LTV is 81.6, right? But I'm going to price you at the 80%, and this will allow your borrowers to come in with less cash. So I'm saying, if you say, hey, I'm a little bit short here or that, but they want that rate, we can also do that on discount points to help you close more loans, right? We have flexible first-time home buyer guidelines, right? That's one. Maybe they don't have housing history. They live with their parents or relatives for the last 3 years, saved up their money for down payment. We have loans for that. Again, short-term rentals are on here because that could be a consumer loan like second home or investment property. We allow non-permanent resident aliens that are here on work visas, and we do loan amounts up to $3 million. And I first started here, loan amounts were like $1 million. That was it. And now it's expanded because of all the portfolio and their track record, like companies like ours have put together on Wall Street. Let's go to the next slide. Well, there's questions. So I know it's kind of brief. I know everybody's looking at, hey, the bond market's here. I got to make sure our loans close within the lock period. I'll just talk a little bit this, before I question is, I had the best compliment, and it wasn't coming to me directly. It was one of our account executives sent me an email on Monday, and his mortgage banking client was asking him what his ranking was with his volume. And I was looking through the email. It's because he wanted to advertise that he signed up with Home Express because we honored the rate locks, closed all his loans, they're structured right, and they had transparency the whole process. Everybody's available to talk to them on that transaction to close it on time. I thought that was the best compliment that I've ever seen. And it was just by an email getting forwarded to me what his ranking was to advertise for more loan officers, right? And I tell you, we're here for you. We're the steady Eddie kind of thing, right? We're not out flashy. We just get down. We're here to close loans to good people that get turned down from traditional financing. So with that, Andre, let's take some of the questions that we have from our audience.
Sure. Thank you, David. We do have a couple questions that came in. The first one is, can I use a W-2 income along with lease agreements and bank statements to qualify?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I've looked at tons of loans in my career. I've been doing this 30 years, right? And I've seen this. I recognize this one file maybe 4 years ago that came in, and one was two borrowers, husband and wife. Husband was a firefighter, wife was a teacher, and the loan officer says, let's send in the tax returns. And I looked right at the Schedule E. They wrote off $50,000 worth of mileage on a rental property that was, 5 miles from their house. And I go, okay, well, they use it as a write-off. So we don't want to see that. Just grab the W-2s, their paycheck stub, the lease agreement for the rental property. And if they have a gig business on the side, give me 12 months of that. I can use all that income to have me qualify. Don't bring in your tax returns. Some of that, the CPAs and good tax accountants trying to reduce their tax liability. And one way they do that is lower the income or have a lot of expenses on things that they try to put in there to lower their liability.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. The next question is, do expense letters have to be from a CPA?
No, they have to be from a tax accountant that's licensed in that jurisdiction. Don't have to go to a CPA. And all they have to do is attest to, they reviewed the financials for the last 2 years and can verify their expense factor is 28% on average. Perfect, that's all you need. Sometimes the CPAs are more expensive, but we do want to, it does have to come from a third party that's licensed in whatever jurisdiction they're at.
Perfect, thank you. Here's another one. I have a borrower that has a large amount of assets, but is retired on fixed income. Can we use his assets to help him qualify?
Absolutely, absolutely. We can look just at the assets to qualify that, and that passes ATR under Dodd-Frank, so that's fine. And we see that. I see that scenario with a divorcee, so to speak, where they got a large settlement, maybe out of the workforce. I also see a lot. I live in the Bay Area where you have these IT individuals, computer engineers, where they work for a company. It could be anything, Google, Facebook, whatever, and they get all these stocks options and they convert it to, a couple million worth of stock. Yeah, we can use that to qualify on assets.
Great, thank you. And I think we have one more. My client has worked in the insurance business for 20 years and went off on his own 15 months ago. He's doing very well. Can you use the last 12 months bank statements to qualify?
Yes, generally in this scenario, 15 months, we like to see all 15 months, right? So, but we're only qualifying out the last 12, and we should see a steady increase in his business cash flow. So that program, when you're less than 2 years, it needs to be managerial kind of thing, but this is a very good example from an insurance agent. We understand it, same line of work, and then go self-employed, right? And brings over their book of business to that, and you can see the increase. But yes, we know we qualify for 12, we'd like to see all 15, even if there's zero deposits, right? And we understand there's probably zero deposit the first month, right? It's mainly expenses going out, or maybe some capital infusion to start it, which is capital, not income, and then expenses, and it rises up. We're here to make deals that make sense. So all this scenario, it's hard to pinpoint exact scenarios. This is why we have highly trained account executives. Our corporate trainer, Andreas here, does a great job, but there's 2 weeks full training, ongoing weekly training to know how to structure loans and get your loans closed. I think Greg Fearman, who's in charge of the West, kind of said, but we have nearly a 70% pull through. And that's with given our rate environment. This is through rate environments going up where maybe the borrower said no, purchases where the inspection comes in, hey, I'm not going to buy this property, or something happens. I tell you, this is just, you'll really experience a real good non-QM when you test us to it. And I challenge you, test this on your next non-QM file. You'll be really thrilled about your experience here.
Awesome. Thank you, David. That is all the questions that we have. So I will turn it over to Greg Fearman to talk about next month's webinar.
Thanks, Andrea. David, once again, knocked it out of the park. We really appreciate all the good information. Knowledge is power in this market. And the more options you have available for your clients as far as providing them financing and potentially getting them into a home is huge. And everything David covered in the presentation is just going to open up more doors and avenues for your clients. So make sure you're paying attention to next month's topic, marketing non-QM to your borrowers. We showed you as far as the different diversity from a product offering. Now we're going to show you how to go find them. We're going to take it one step further, help you market to non-QM borrowers, to help you continue to grow your business and make 2022 one of the best ever. So thanks again, David, for the presentation. Mr. Margulies.
Hey, great. I know we've talked a lot about interest rates, and the bond market is really giving everybody heartburn. But don't let the high interest rates and the loss of your refinance business define your year. I believe that there are 3 items. If you've got the Home Express product suite and you're getting it presented by really our world-class national account executives, using our state-of-the-art technology and what we believe to be, and our customers believe, our best coast-to-coast operations teams, you'll be able to build your business. Look, our successful growth is definitely a result of our commitment to delivering these types of tailored solutions to our broker partners. We do it with speed, ease, and convenience. If you really want to learn how to replace all of or most of your lost refinance business while creating new purchase business, because we're in that market right now, then call myself, Dave Margulies here on the West, Greg Fearman, in the East, Greg Fearman in the West, and let's have a strategic conversation on truly how we can make 2022 a great year. So, if you really want, more information, become an approved broker with us. You'll find that to be a simple process. Submit your loan scenarios to us, and certainly go to our website and take a look at our products, our pricing, everything that we can do. So thanks everybody, and don't forget Dave Grider. He's the man that runs it for us. He's the guy. He's the ultimate deal guy. He'll help you put it together, and he really helps. He takes an interest in all of our loans. He can be reached Greg Fairman, who runs the West, truly world-class. And then please reach out to us in the East. And this is Dave Margulies. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, David. And thanks, Greg.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate it. David Greider, Greg Fairman, and Dave Margulies, thank you all for your time today and participating in this broker webinar. And thank you to everybody who has joined us again. As always, we will send out a note afterwards with a link to this presentation, to the recording, and to the PowerPoint. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I hope you have a great day, a great month, and we'll see you next month. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.